Hi, and welcome to Have a Chat. I am your host today, Veronique Arsenault, joined, of course, by my fantastic co-host, Judy Loche.
Oh, we're having a good offset chuckle. I think that's awesome. Before we go into the air, we can be really bad.
I know. Well, that's the thing. I'm glad we don't air all of our bloopers.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be good. But that's okay. So here we are, Monday.
It's cold but sunny. I'll take it.
It is, yeah, and you know what? As much as I grumble, and I grumble the more the older I get. Yeah. But as much as I grumble, the winter actually hasn't been too bad.
It's been amazing, and the future week or so looks very clear. So we're blessed.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. Now you have the quote.
I
today.
have a quote.
Can't wait to hear this one.
All righty. So what I chose was, being it close to Valentine's Day.
Yes.
You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Buddha.
I agree. I agree.
Too.
And you know what? We're hardest on ourselves, right? It's hard. I sometimes it's really hard to love yourself because you know all of your faults and the things that you wish were different about yourself, and so it's hard sometimes to get over that stuff. So yeah, but good on, yes.
And I think too that like sometimes you try so hard to please and love other people and be there for everybody else that you forget about you.
Yeah.
And so they always say, treat people that you're dealing with and loving and showing affection to. Try treating yourself the same way.
I know.
So I'm taking it back, dialing it back to how would I want to, would I want some time for myself if I was that person that I'm trying to say, go on a vacation, well then I should do it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Because what would you say? Like, if somebody, and you've done it for me, like I'll come to you and say, oh, I'm really tired, I'm really overwhelmed, there's a lot going on, I'm worried about Mom, and you're like, well, take a night off. I'm like, oh, no, I can't.
I know.
I know. But you're right. Like, it's what would you? And I know it's the same for you. Mm-hmm. So like, you have to treat yourself a little bit better.
Yeah. And Veronique, regarding Valentine's Day. Yes. We're trying our best here to be festive because it's going to be, this week, obviously, the 14th every year, of course, and nothing's changed. But how do you feel about it in general?
I will admit, and people think that I'm going to say this because I'm single, but I will admit that Valentine's Day is not my favorite day because, and I've always felt this way, always. And I had wonderful boyfriends in my young life, but I find there's too much pressure on everyone that day. Yeah. Whether, if you're in a committed relationship, it's that pressure to be loving and over the top and prove your love with gifts and, and extravagant planning. And if you're not in a committed relationship, it's that really aware that you're, single and that feeling of people thinking, oh, you're alone.
But feeling sorry for you.
Yeah.
Or anybody that's alone.
Yeah.
I really think that in my younger day it was fun. When I was in my 20s and into my 30s and early married life and dating, for example, say it was a university boyfriend or something, going out dressing up and all of that. Yeah. I still say right now that I think it's for the younger couples, like the newly met sweethearts type thing, and maybe first year, kind of 2 year into or 3 year into marriages, and maybe for the older people that are still celebrating their love after all those years together. Yeah. But the in-between stuff, it's just, you should be doing it anyway.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
randomly. I appreciate randomly more than it's a certain date and I have to. Yes. I should send her flowers to her. I should get Judy this. No, do it out of the blue. Surprise me.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I think, it's, I just think there's a lot of pressure on that one day to be really over the top and extravagant and loving and everything like that. And I think it's better if you can show it on a random Sunday afternoon.
You know what, though, Veronique? People have been so locked up together, couples, for 2.5+ years. I think they would like to kill each other rather than celebrate.
Yeah, I think, well.
You again.
I know.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, good. There you are.
Yeah, that's true, though. People have had a lot of time either to grow together and to get to know each other on a whole new level, open up conversation because there's been nowhere to go. Now, yes, but in the first couple of years, it was tough. And so they might be a little bit renewing their love, or they might be tiring of it.
Yeah. Well, and I totally get your point. And I think, for those who really enjoy the day, I wish you a wonderful day. I really do.
Me too. Happy Valentine's Day.
A happy Valentine's Day to those who love to celebrate it, and who love to shower their significant other with gifts or whatever it may be, or just love in general. Yeah. I think that's wonderful. For those who don't enjoy it, it's a really heavy day, I find. And I find even for myself, when I was dating, it was a lot of pressure. When I wasn't dating, now that I am not dating currently, it's like, everybody's like, oh, you're alone on Valentine's Day. I'm like, yep, and I'm having chocolate. I'm good.
That's good. And I was also learning that the trend for 2023 is self-love, self-expression, and just, doing your own thing. So that's really good. People should be more keen on looking after them.
I agree. And I had posted something on Facebook yesterday on social media. I had posted that, if 99% of the world's population doesn't find you attractive, that's okay, because that still leaves 75 million people out there. And my confidence just shut up, because I'm like, they do. I know 75 million people might find me not bad.
So cute. I'm sure they would.
But it's like, but your point is so valid. Right. Like, you got to love yourself first and go from there.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so much. So, we were out a lot.
Yeah, it was a busy last week.
Yeah. So you got to see a wonderful production.
And you still can, because it's going to be playing on February 17th again for a final show. It was that good.
Yes.
Chapter 2.
Yes.
It was fantastic from the beginning to the end. The acting was superb. It was Alison and Taylor Levine, who are a married couple, who are professional actors.
And they met acting.
And I adore them both.
I remember their production.
They have been together for so long, and they're still so much a couple and so vibrant and so good at what they do.
Yep.
And you might know Brandon and Lisa Savage as well.
Yeah.
I didn't know Brandon could act.
I didn't either, actually. I had come across Brandon through counsel when we talked about twinning with Carpi K. France, and he had gone over and all that, and a phenomenal historian, but
phenomenal historian. He's been on our show, but phenomenal actor. Yeah. And I think what made it so good was that they are couples, so that the dynamic was just a given.
Yes.
The chemistry was there, and when you do a love scene, I've done love scenes repeatedly. It's like, can we do that again?
Yeah. Giddy up.
In university, there was this guy I had to do like a kissing scene with. He was from Florida.
Yeah.
Man, I kept saying, I don't think I got that right the first time.
Let's practice.
So then, Jim, can we do that again? But it was really funny, because the guy was like, oh, my lips are getting chapped, But I thought I wanted to get that right on purpose.
Yes.
But these two, you could tell the couples were actually in love, which made it comfortable for me. I don't like watching those scenes of lovey-doviness, and they're just like, it's someone else's partner or someone else. Oh, I cringe. But man, it was good. Chris Matheson was the director.
Yes.
The set was beautiful. And the show and the story itself was fantastic. I enjoyed it to the max.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I've heard wonderful reviews.
Oh,
I have.
Yeah. Go. If you can go.
Yeah, and I was tied up with something else on Thursday night, because I really had wanted to attend with you, but I was tied up with something else on Thursday night, and have heard wonderful
Bravo
reviews.
To everybody that's been involved in it.
So you and I and Auntie Dearest Andrea were out with about 200 or so other ladies on Friday night at the Rotary Purse Auction.
Yes.
So back after, of course, some time away with the pandemic, and it was quite the night.
10th annual for them.
Isn't that amazing?
So just to clarify, that we have 2 clubs in the river, and Veronique has been a strong member and stepped away because of other duties, but was a Rotarian for years, and I still am currently with the Chatham Rotary Club.
Yes.
And I think I'm 22 years into it now.
I was 10 years with them.
Yes, and thank you for everything you did with us. Yeah. And then this particular event is a major fundraiser for the Miramichi Rotary Club.
Yes.
They have that name now, but just to get it out there that we do our own thing in fundraising and they do their own.
Yes.
So the 2 separate clubs do wonderful things, and
both clubs to benefit the Miramichi and the community, which is wonderful.
It's we're one. Yeah. We're all one as a Rotarian, so that's why I love supporting events that are put on by that club, and they support ours.
Absolutely.
And it was a purse auction, which wasn't just purses for those who didn't go, but it was jewelry and other certificates to,
pet grooming.
Yeah, businesses that gave out certificates to restaurants and that type of thing. So there was a win, a lot of chance to win a lot of things. And then our club donated a beautiful handbag, a Judy and Vero, high value. I think it was about a $500 bag to donate and have the ladies bid on for polio, particularly for the eradication of polio. And I really love that bag too. So it was nice to collaborate with them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, lots of wonderfully dressed ladies out
Beautiful.
on Friday night, and to see, of course, all the Rotarians there. The desserts.
Those desserts were delicious.
know.
And cheesecake, I mean, I'm not a huge sweet tooth, but that cheesecake was to die for.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? And we had such a lovely table to sit with.
We had fun.
We did. We laughed and we enjoyed each other's company.
That's what I love too. And just getting together. Out.
And your dress and your boots were just
Thanks,
fantastic.
Bernie.
Yeah,
Thank
I love
you.
them.
I was with Jamie, my son's girlfriend, Evan's girlfriend, in Montreal.
Yep.
And I thought, my birthday's coming up.
Yes.
I don't have to tell Gerard what he got me.
That's right.
I'm gonna wear it.
Fantastic.
So he said, "Where'd you get the lovely dress?" I said, "Oh, in Montreal. Thank you, honey."
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and I ended up bidding on some things at the silent auction. Did end up winning one of those bids, and got a great little backpack purse.
Love that.
Yes,
You
it
look
was so
beautiful
cute,
too.
So cute. Oh, we had such a fun
I
night.
just have to say that we have in the Miramichi area some stunning women.
Oh goodness,
We
yes.
really do.
Yes, yeah.
I can't, I looked at them all and I thought, my gosh, this could be like some kind of, you think you have to go to Brazil or California to see all these gorgeous, my gosh, I'm proud to say that Miramichi's got some very fine looking women.
Absolutely, and there was a nice little fashion show,
Yes.
and local businesses supported so well. It was
That's
it
right.
was amazing to see.
It was fun.
Yeah, lots happening, no question. Let's pop over to some sad news, and that was the earthquake in Turkey and Syria.
My heart.
It's just complete devastation. It's hard to see.
It's so much so that when I watch TV, I'm so used to it, and we all are by now, the terrible tragedies that come, so forcefully through the media, and we see it every day more than we ever did. But that made me actually sit and cry.
Yeah.
I cried.
Yeah.
I thought they've already been such a war-torn country. Syria, and then Turkey was the main. It was a 7.8 magnitude earthquake last week.
Yeah.
And Veronique, they have surpassed the death toll of 33,000 people.
It's heart-wrenching. There are some incredible stories coming out of there. One actually I just saw on social media yesterday, and it is from all around the world. There are dog teams being sent in to help find survivors.
God.
I know,
And they're finding them.
And they are finding them. But they're from 2 and 3 and 5 and 10 teams coming from different countries, including Canada and the U.S. and Belgium, and it's just amazing to see. And we've heard so many stories through the years of dog rescue teams and what they've done. So just amazing to see that. And then of course the infant.
The mom and the newborn.
4 days they were in the rubble.
That's miraculous, really.
It's incredible.
Little baby trying to thrive off the mother's breast milk or whatever, and that's all she would have.
Yeah.
And then a little 9-year-old boy was rescued. I don't know if it was this morning or yesterday.
Yeah.
You imagine the terror that's going through those people's minds and those who have lost families, a mom and dad losing 4 children, and what they it's beyond.
Yeah.
And I don't think people stop and think every day just how very, very fortunate we are. We have tragedies, of course, in our own area, but not to that magnitude of earthquakes and
No, and that's it. Yeah, it's just incredible, but the support and the rescue teams that are going, and the wonderful stories that we are hearing of people rallying but also surviving, and it's
prayers to them, and
it's
Ukrainians
incredible.
that's still ongoing, and it's still the news to me is shattering.
I know. It's hard to watch at times, and it's I find, oddly enough, I'm tending to watch the news less and less, just because it's constant, right? Through you either get it online through social media or on the TV, and Mom tends to watch the news kind of in a loop, which I find not great.
No, it's not healthy.
No, I don't find it healthy, and then she gets a little bit stuck, and I find that really hard to navigate, and it's heavy.
It certainly is.
Yeah, it's heavy. And there was another sad story coming out of Quebec.
Oh my gosh, yes.
In Laval, actually, a bus driver drove into a daycare, killing 2 children.
I know.
And just, you just don't. You just don't understand how that can.
Well, I do believe the man was suffering from major mental health issues.
Yes.
It wasn't random.
Yeah, no.
It was a planned thing, and I don't know I don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
I just know that I can't imagine as a witness to
Yeah.
a bus driving into into a bunch of a children's group.
Yeah, they. I think what the story was, he drove into the building.
Oh.
Yeah, I think.
Anyway,
but
gosh.
Yeah.
So to all those who were spared, thank heavens for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely. Huge parties everywhere yesterday from
Super Bowl?
Super Bowl.
I hate football.
Well, and I do watch it. I do watch the big ones. I do
hate
watch
it.
the big ones, but parties everywhere. Everybody I have talked to over the last 24 hours enjoyed.
Hungover?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, that wouldn't be me because I don't know the first thing about football.
Yeah, it's so it's the one game Dad really tunes into every year. So, but yeah, the Chiefs versus the Eagles, and the Chiefs won 38-35, and it was like a nail biter, I guess.
That's
I
good
didn't watch yesterday, although I have at other times. And Chris Stapleton sang the national anthem.
It's
amazing
He
singer,
is.
and what a unique version too. Very laid back.
I saw that.
Yeah, and I love his voice.
I
so
do too.
I think he's just so cool and laid
All
back
I watch
in
it
general.
for is the music.
And
the
then
halftime.
and then Rihanna in the halftime show.
She's one of my all-time favorite. I keep
Yeah.
saying to everybody that I know, if you ever hear tell of her being in concert in
Yes.
the U.S. or Canada or even beyond that, I would be game for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think she's fierce.
Yeah.
I think she's amazing, and she's her own unique person.
Yeah.
Just had a baby and has another one on the way.
I know she's pregnant.
And
Yes.
she was there in red, the power color,
Yeah.
and she owned it. And she said, I couldn't miss this opportunity, even though
Yeah.
it was terrifying.
Yeah.
What, it's 100 million people
I
watch
can't
that?
even imagine.
I
can't even
Half the
imagine.
world watches it,
Yeah.
and there she was in all of her glory, and the great dancing backup, and I think she is one of my all-time favorite singers.
Yeah, I think she's amazing, and the trajectory of her career and the decisions she's made, and the businesses she's started from that, she's just an incredible businesswoman, and
Yes, she is.
made some great decisions and really owned her own style in life.
She sure did, and she's only 34, so she has lots of time to do a lot more
Absolutely.
wonderful things, including I think she's been in a movie.
Yep.
She's had an award for that.
Yeah, no, she's really. I find this era of business women that are steering their own careers just really phenomenal to watch.
And I do believe she had some history of abuse in her family, so to overcome that and then to become a sensation and try to get past it all and deal with that and push through and reach the top.
Incredible.
Good for her.
Yeah. So
Fantastic.
it was a busy weekend, no question. We have an amazing show coming up, so don't go too far. Go grab a snack, as I always tell you to. Go grab a snack and come on right back after the break. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Hi, and welcome back to Have a Chat. I am your host today, Veronique Arsenault, joined, of course, by my fantastic co-host, Judy Loge.
Aren't we lovely in pink today?
I know, we're ready for Valentine's. And we have a phenomenal guest joining us, as we always do.
Yes.
I tell you, Judy, and I say it every week, we are so lucky with the guests we get on our show.
I know, and that they give up their time to come on, because it does take time to drive up here and do the show and drive back and get on with your business. So welcome.
I know. So we have Naomi Wallace joining us. So welcome. We're so glad to have you on this show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
We're very excited. And so now Judy and I both know you because we've been lucky enough to see the work that you're doing in the community and everything that you're doing with James M. Hill. But talk to us a little bit about who you are, and let's tell the viewers.
Okay, well, my name is Naomi Wallace. I live just outside Basin Ann, and I'm currently a high school student at James M. Hill, so I'm in my graduating year, grade 12. I know, big things.
Oh my goodness.
And I recently started a community outreach program called the Bridge Project for newcomers to help welcome them to the city. So
I can't wait to hear more. But first of all, I really am curious as to your growing up years, where you were born, where you lived, and tell us more about that, and then when you came over to a new country from your former one.
Awesome. Okay, so I was born in the northeast of England, in a little small town called Ashington. which is actually funny because Ashington was in a place called Northumberland, and then here I am in Northumberland again, New Brunswick. I moved when I was 4, but in the UK you start school at 4, so I was in school for a couple months before we moved. We moved in like October, so then I came here and had to wait a year to go to school, so there was a lot of time for me. I was just at home, and I'm an only child as well, so I was very alone for that period of my life. And then I started school, and at the time I moved here, I had an accent because I was little and I'd lived with my parents.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah,
you did.
a nice little British accent. It was really cute. So sometimes my mom shows me videos and things of when I was little.
I love it.
I know, but quickly kind of like it dropped as accents do. Like when you move, I think it's under the age of 12 or something like that, you can lose your accent if you move to a different country. And so I did eventually lose my accent. It didn't take very long because I was young and people couldn't really understand me, whatever. But so I moved from the UK, and then I've been here ever since. So
I do love the UK.
Yeah, and funny enough, I was born in Germany and moved when I was 4. And was fluent in German and English. And then when we moved to Montreal. So Dad was in the military, and when we landed, I couldn't speak a word of French. And when I learned French, I lost my German.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I'm not great at picking up different languages.
No, it's I find it tough too.
Hard.
I mean, I'm fluent in French and English, but I find it hard as well. So I was also an only child.
Yes,
I get it.
And you're an only child?
Yeah.
Well, there now.
I know.
Only children.
I know.
I'm the oldest of 4.
I know. So tell us a little bit about So you moved to Miramichi, or just outside of Miramichi, and you've been in school ever since. But tell us a little bit about the Bridge Project. Why was it so important for you to create that newcomer outreach program? And tell us a little bit about all that.
Yeah. Well, I remember, I think it was at the beginning of the school year, so it only started in September, October of last year, so 2022, I believe. I remember our mayor, Adam Lorden, who you two know very well.
Yes.
He said, I forget where I was, but he said Miramichi is growing faster than ever. And you mentioned earlier with the war and things that are like natural disasters displacing people, that there's so many newcomers coming to our city. So what the Bridge Project aimed to do was to help welcome newcomers to our city through sponsoring little like recreational activities where they can meet other newcomers and also form connections in the community. This was brought about by, I was thinking about when I was younger and how I moved here and it took so long for my parents to find things for me to do, and that must have been crazy on my parents because I was like a very energetic 4-year-old, and
they didn't know anybody, right?
Hard for them as well to move to a whole new country and all new people around.
Exactly. And then I moved to the little small community of Basin Anne, so everyone's families know each other. Like
and they all grew up together.
Yeah, and they all grew up together. So their kids already knew each other before they got to kindergarten. And so I moved into I went to Miramichi Rural School. My kindergarten class was like 10 kids maximum.
Nice though.
Yeah, it was nice, but I think everyone already knew each other, and then I'd moved in, and then
the new kid in the block.
Yes, exactly. So I just figured it would be great. It was a great opportunity, especially my senior year of high school, to do a project that would also help our community. So
I think it's just an amazing initiative.
I love it.
And leave it to you. She's involved in so many things, drama and all these different activities and volunteering in our community. I see you at so many events, and I want to, pat you on the back for all of that as a young person, giving back to our community.
I know.
And academically, I'm sure you're doing fine, are you?
I'm trying.
She's a smart little girl. I'm really curious as to, now that you've established this and you have gotten to know different people, as Veronique and I have in our city, from Ukrainian newcomers to Syrian families and international students. I mean, there are so many beautiful people in this area now. I was at church yesterday, and I think the Filipino families that have come here are just coming, like all ages, with their children and brothers and sisters. My heart was full. I am so happy to see new people join our city. So what has some of your feedback been with them as far as conversations? What are their obstacles? What are their feelings? How are they adjusting? Are they finding it difficult? Are they feeling welcome? Just tell us more about your engagement with those people.
Yeah, so there's a lot of positives, but there's also a lot of negatives. I'll start with the positives. So I find a lot of the people I've spoken to, a lot of the newcomers that come here, they find it's so different to where they're from, and we have like such a large country and a small population.
Yes.
So there's a lot less people, things are less crowded, and the nature side of things, it's things that people have never seen before. So yeah, an example would be when I moved here from the UK, I'd never seen a moose. I'd never seen a beaver.
Aren't you lucky?
Of course.
I know.
And I'm trying to stay away from them too.
Yeah, and so like,
And you often get the question, like Judy and I travel quite a bit overseas, and I often get the question, "Oh, do you know Bob from Toronto?" No.
You're from Canada.
And
Do you know Veronique Arsenault?
Yeah, and sometimes I'll be like, actually, I do know Bob from Toronto, but not that Bob.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're right. I mean, it is such a big country, like territory-wise, but not population-wise.
yeah.
But the snow and things that some of them have never experienced before from the hotter countries, it must be just a mind-blowing experience. Culture shock.
Completely different environment.
Cold.
Yeah. So very cold. Yeah.
It is.
For them.
I mean,
a lot of
and
people
we
that
live
came
here.
from those really intensely hot climates, it must be just, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of used to it. But are they feeling welcome though, as far as there's children in school? We know Veronique and I were at an event that Tarek Haddad talked, and a woman was there. Are they from Syria, Veronique?
Yeah.
A woman that has 8 children?
Yes.
8 boys.
Yeah, 8 boys. Yeah.
8 boys is a huge thing in this day and age.
Yeah. I can't even
So
imagine.
to get them all into school and activity and feed them all, and so do you know this particular family I'm talking about? And
the Alcides.
have they talked to you much about like how it's been, just that particular family, trying to cope with little children in school, getting them on and off the bus, all ages? That must be huge.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing, especially for the parents. I know the ones with larger families and things like that, they I've heard a couple people say that it's hard to get childcare and things like that, especially as like it's cheaper to live outside of the city as well. So when you live, for example, in Basin Ann, where I'm from, and you have to drive like 45 minutes to get to work, and then you have childcare, and then especially in the Bay, there's like not any childcare that's in English, or not a lot in English. So like that would be in French, and then they would have to try and like drive their kids to town as the next nearest place. That's one of the biggest problems that I've heard about. But
And most don't speak English when they come.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Talk about the language issue.
yeah, and so coming into a community, especially in the Bay, we have a big fishing industry,
Yes.
and there's a lot of foreign workers coming to help out with the fishing industry.
Wonderful.
So it's great, but then Basin Ann is such a francophone community that then it's like learning a second language on top of the new language that you're learning.
Exactly.
So.
It's gotta be really, really tough. I can't imagine moving to a whole new country.
No, I can't either. Like I find it hard enough moving into a new house.
Yeah, no, you'd have to really learn to adapt. But with people like yourself that are forming a community, a welcome group, I think that's just phenomenal. And who is in on this with you? Did you spearhead it, or did somebody approach you? I know it's your launch, but you usually work with somebody else or a team.
Yeah, I had this kind of need to help people at the beginning of the year. I just really wanted to do something, especially with the growing community. And so I took this idea to a mentor. I've actually known him my entire life, since I moved here, of course. Mr. Adam Hayward. He works, great guy.
He is phenomenal.
He works at the district, so ASDN. And he used to be a teacher, so he knows all the ins and outs of projects and student work and things like that. And he said, maybe you should make like a course out of this, because you can apply to have your own course made in school. Yeah, and so I
love that in the curriculum now.
I know, it's so nice, the personalization, and you get to learn and do things in the real world and things like that too.
Neat.
So I actually got a lot of school credit towards this course for work I was doing outside of school. So having the monthly newcomer gatherings and recreational outings in Miramichi, so I got school credit for this too.
I think that's fantastic.
It is.
That didn't happen when I was your age.
No, they didn't do that when I was in school either, and I love that it's in the curriculum now, and I got to see some of the projects a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool to see.
Yeah, and again, Adam, he's just one of those very, very passionate people, and he's just such a warm heart.
Yeah.
He just gives his best to everybody, and you're one of those people, so you have a great mentor there.
Yes, absolutely. He helped me out a lot. So.
We often talk about mental health on this show. It's a passion for both Judy and I, and so many of our guests. Being in grade 12 and having lived through the last 3 years of the pandemic, you know, how have you been doing, and how are you finding like your peers and your friends are doing?
Well, I've been okay, but it's definitely taken a toll on my generation with school. And we did, at the beginning of the pandemic, I think we were all excited because it was like 2 weeks off of school, we get a mini vacation, another March break. Yeah. And then as the pandemic progressed, we realized like this is not something that's going away really quickly.
Not fun.
No, and then the transition to online learning, that was just so different. Like it had never been done before. We'd never done anything online. It was all in person. Yeah. And then having everything online and not having like not being able to see your friends or communicate with your teachers, like that was really difficult for everyone as a whole. So
that age, like I mean, I was fine to a degree because you know I'm an adult and I have things I do, and I'm good with my own time. I have hobbies. I read. I do things with my dog and walker and all of that stuff. And I like to cook when it gave me more time to do that kind of stuff. But for young people, I know my youngest son, during the pandemic too, said, "Oh man, this is just rotten. I mean, we want to see our friends," and there was a point where you couldn't go out at all.
Yeah.
But do you find the resources are there? We've asked another young person recently on the show as far as mental health. Do you feel, and do the newcomers in your program feel that they must have some issues with mental health for sure, because it's totally psychologically challenging to come to a whole new world?
Especially from the situations that a lot of them are coming from.
So do you find there are, or would you like to see more resources in place?
Well, I would definitely like to see more resources in place. I think that there are some, but just in regards to them being accessible for newcomers, and there's also things like language barriers and things like that. So I wish that there was more in regards to mental health resources.
Can I ask you, because everyone knows by now I'm an anti-bully activist.
Yes.
Do you find there's still much, not in your school, I don't want to go to schools and bash schools, I just want to talk about it in general because it's in workplaces, it's in every organization, from kindergarten up to CEOs in the workplace. Do you find there is still an issue of bullying in our community?
That's
noticeable.
That's like a difficult question. I don't think as much anymore there's like upfront physical bullying. Like I don't think people are intimidating other people like physically and like beating other people up and hurting people like that. But I think that there is an issue with, and not even cyberbullying. Like people say mean things about each other online, but it's not as bad as it used to be. I think there's more of a problem of like people just ignoring other people.
Exclusion.
Exclusion.
And I find that's one of the worst forms, feeling left out.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I know I've heard kids come to me and say, "Oh man, I just sit home and everyone's at their party and with their friends, and I'm here doing nothing."
Yeah, no, it's tough.
It'd be hurtful.
Yeah, it's tough. What's next for you for the Bridge Project?
What's next for me? I don't have any long-term plans, as I will be graduating, and I'd like this to stay like in the school community and things like that. I'd like it to continue on as kind of a legacy project, and hopefully I'll pass it on to another newcomer who can help show around other newcomers.
Love it, the Naomi Wallace Bridge Project, leaving a legacy. I think we all would like to do something like that.
I know.
I have to think about what mine's going to be.
I'm not sure.
Maybe my dress.
There you go.
So I guess, do you have any definite plans for when you graduate, Naomi? Any eye on the pie out there?
No, I actually don't. And people always ask me this. Now it's this year, it's the year of graduating. They're like, where are you going next year? I'm like, I'm not going anywhere next year.
That's good, that's fine.
But I looked into like doing exchange programs, or not exchange, more like volunteer programs abroad, and helping before I end up going to university, because my dream university is in Scotland. It's the University of Edinburgh, and it's kind of prestigious. It's in the top 10 in the UK, so that's like very hard to get into, but if I get in by the time I'm 30, I'll be happy. So.
I think that's a great aspiration.
So in our last couple of minutes, because we're just about out of time, which it always flies by, but what would you say to newcomers, as why would they want to come here, and what have you loved about it?
Well, I just love the people here. Like, they are just welcoming most of the time, and they're usually very like outgoing, and I'd say like I just hope that people feel included in our community. Like I hope that the people in Miramichi don't feel like they should exclude people, or I hope they can be more welcoming towards our newcomers. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, I hope our viewers are taking your message in and thinking about it and going forward with it, because that's what it's all about.
I hope so.
Embracing
and
other
you know
people.
what? And we have seen such a growth here, you know, and we have, I think, just a little over 70 countries represented in our area, which is wonderful. And projects like yours are what are going to continue to help that growth here. And so we're really thankful for all that you're doing. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And also, you can get World Reality Education clothing from you as well.
Yes.
So I have a closet full of it. But anyway, so no, we're really lucky to have the guests that we do, as I've always said. But you, as our next generation, is we're pretty excited about.
Proud of you, Naomi.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep it going.
Yeah, so if you haven't yet met someone who's new to the area, please do reach out. We absolutely need people to continue doing that. And also, several of our groups are still looking for housing for some of our newcomers until they can get settled. So if you can do that too, help out there. But don't go too far. We have a break coming up, and we have 2 more fantastic guests. So we'll see you right after the break. Hi, and welcome back to Have a Chat. I am your host today, Veronique Arsenault, joined, of course, by my amazing co-host, Judy Loche.
And I was just waving. I'm sure they saw me on camera giving a big wave to Naomi. She's back to school, bless her heart. She is a busy girl.
And she was such a phenomenal guest in that first segment, eh?
She's a beautiful person.
I know. I did not have it that together when I was
She's a real achiever.
I know. I didn't have it. I still don't have it
Oh,
together
stop.
most days, but that's okay. We are so excited for our next 2 guests. We have 2 wonderful women joining us, Sam Fairweather and Whitney Foran from Miramichi Housing Solutions. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. This is such an important show. It's such an important topic.
I know.
I hope people really pay attention to these 2 guests today, because it's something that you all need to hear about.
I know. And it's so Miramichi Housing Solutions, of course. Judy and I know, but a lot of people would know you as Miramichi Youth House, right? Originally, right? So when did that, I'm going to get you to introduce yourselves in a second, but when did that change?
Just recently.
Yeah.
Yep. It's only been a couple months.
Yeah, there you go. So we are talking with Sam Fairweather, the Executive Director of the Miramichi. I can't even say Miramichi today. That's not good.
Monday, you're forgiven.
It's Monday. I had a lot of chocolate. I think it's a chocolate hangover, but that's okay. Miramichi Housing Solutions, and Whitney Foran, Director of Miramichi Housing Solutions. So welcome, ladies. So Sam, tell everybody a little bit about you.
Oh gosh, so I've been with the organization since 2008. We won't say how many years, that will age me. I just recently had a daughter, so I've been on mat leave, and while I've been off, Whitney's been covering for me. She's been doing an excellent job.
You have the most, I must just say, I don't know Whitney's child, but you have the most beautiful baby. I've been showing her off to everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
She's not quite 1.
No, she's 1 this Friday.
She's going to be 1,
So
and she's
exciting,
just
right?
Regan.
Yeah.
Beautiful baby.
And Whitney, tell us about you.
Yeah, so like I said, my name is Whitney, and I started with the organization in July of 2021. And I'm a proud mom too, to a 3-year-old almost,
Oh my
and
goodness.
I have 3 stepchildren as well that are
wow.
older.
That's a big job.
Yeah,
You're
so
busy.
we're busy, yeah. So
Babysitters.
when they don't have plans, but they're great. They're
So
great.
as far as your role, I know you've been there for, as you said, since 2008,
Yes.
Sam. But for anybody who does not know about Miramichi Housing Solutions, tell us what that involves as far as your services go.
Yes, so Miramichi Youth House is kind of the original entity. We opened in 1998. And so we started as a 5-bed homeless shelter for youth ages 16 to 19. Then we, of course, expanded services. Am I okay to touch upon all of the services we have now?
absolutely.
Right ahead.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
So we recently, as of 2022, opened our Adult Emergency Center, and that's for anyone over the age of 19. And we also have transitional housing. So we have several transitional housing that we offer to both youth and adults. And so it's a bit of a supported living situation before moving on to permanent housing. And then, of course, our outreach services, which we are so proud of. We have for the adult portion street outreach. So they're in there, they're visiting encampments, they're bringing food, harm reduction products. They're incredible. And then of course we have our independent living outreach coordinator. And so she works on those life skills, helping them get identification, and just really being a support person for them, connecting them with community services that they can use now and throughout their life if needed.
Amazing.
How lucky are we to have that in this region?
Well, I know it's really incredible. Like it's and the growth that you've seen with the organization in the last couple of years, and I know that up until very recently and still, it's all about fundraising and getting support. And I know that a lot of years it was scraping 2 pennies together to get your services out there. And I think it's absolutely amazing the work that you do. And you've been a wonderful partner with our Out of the Cold shelter as well with the city, and that's amazing to see. And how that all progressed. It's it. Unfortunately a need in our community, and so an amazing amount of work that you've done thus far. So Whitney, tell us a little bit about the future goals for the organization. What's coming up, or what you're hoping to see happen?
Yeah, so one of our biggest future goals is transitional housing. Having shelters is great for the present time, but to reach the goals of each individual, transitional housing is definitely something that we would like to see more of. So like Sam said, we do have 2 transitional housing units, one for youth, one for adult, and we would definitely like to see more coming up. And as well as outreach, because our city is humongous.
Geographically it is, right?
Yeah.
Like we're split by the river.
Right. And it's hard for someone to get from point A to point B and get all over the city. And in a lot of wooded areas in our community, even in the downtown area. And these people are hanging out in the wooded areas. So we definitely need some more outreach services and programs.
Well, and it's interesting because being on council, of course, it's a topic of discussion constantly for us, right? And we've often been told in the last number of years that we don't have an issue with those who are experiencing homelessness, right? Which we know that is not the case. But I think what really became apparent in the last probably 12 months to me and to probably most is that for the first time we were really seeing what we'll say visible homelessness. So those who were experiencing homelessness we were seeing them sleeping rough, right? And living rough, which was really tough to it was a really a wake-up call, I think, for those of us who haven't had that challenge. So the work that you continue to do, and especially with those outreach workers, I don't think that most people would know that we have that in the community. And when the Out of the Cold shelter, I didn't even know, when the Out of the Cold shelter opened, you all had that street team that went out to let people know who really needed the service that
we hit
was
the
there.
streets. So.
I know you did.
Yeah.
Literally.
And they're in their snowshoes, like walking to encampments, bringing food and supplies, and letting them know what's available to them as far as
It's
services.
incredible.
I'm so amazed by it all.
I know.
And I mean, we're in such a situation where there is so much poverty, and there are so many people dealing with dire situations, financial hardships, homelessness we're talking about. Do you have anything in place as far as a program goes to help or prevent those people from, just to help them along the way?
Yeah, so we have been awarded up to $75,000 over the last 2 years through a homeless prevention strategy called Reaching Home. So now this year we've coming to our year end, so we've spent a large majority of those funds, but we will be reapplying in the new year. And so I did want to share the contact of that if anyone needs it. So it's prevention funds. The number you call is 506-623-8929 or email adultoutreach@miramichihousing-solutions.com. So what we've done in the past is we'll help pay NB Power arrears. If you need help with rent, this year we're seeing an incredible amount of, especially seniors, looking for support to oil.
Heat. I can name few myself around here, let me tell you.
And so the objective and goal of this whole program is to prevent homelessness and help kind of support people and link arms to get through these trying times.
Great to know prevention funds are there.
Yes.
Thank heavens. And that you can apply again and receive more. And what's that phone number again for people that wish to contribute?
506-623-8929.
It's an important phone number, guys.
Yeah, and it's our neighbors, right?
Exactly.
It's our friends.
It could be one of ours
know.
down the road. We don't know what the generations to come in our
Absolutely
future is going to bring.
Whitney, talk to us a little bit about really some of the numbers, like some of that data that is quite sobering for most of us, and that people don't know.
In the last year, so I'm going to talk January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022.
Yep.
So for youth, we had a total of 15 youth, so ages 16 to 19. So we had 1,805 overall stays in that 1 year period, and 30 plus referrals to other different agencies and stuff like that. So we, at the youth house alone, our total grocery bill for 2022 was $12,486.
Smack.
Wow.
You know, and then with our adult emergency shelter that's located at 316 Regina Street, we had 147 different clients throughout the year. So they could have stayed one night, they could have stayed 90 nights. So our total bed count for the overall stay for the year was 2,357 stays.
That's incredible.
And we had at least 130 turnaways, and that was people showing up at our door and unfortunately us having to say, no, sorry, we're full. So our staff unfortunately didn't keep track of all the phone calls as well, right? They're busy. And you know, our shelter is a 6-bed, but majority of the time we had 7 because we would offer the couch.
Right, and that's what we've talked about that. So there is a couch.
Yeah.
And you would, and when someone came to you, you tried not to turn them away, of course, and would give them the couch when needed.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more disheartening than when someone shows up at your door is cold, and all you have to offer them is a couch.
I just feel like crying. I don't know about anybody else. I'm sure you've seen so much and you've had your tears. Veronique and I are, warm empathy type people. We're empaths, I guess you would call us, and I get really emotional talking about this.
Yes.
Because it's such a huge thing that we're not often quite aware, just exactly as she said, how sobering the facts are out there. People just aren't aware of what's going on in their own community, right under their nose.
Yeah.
Right.
And I said with my J Connection, we're going to, with my online forum, have Whitney and Sam be part of it this week to tell all the members that can view it on my forum exactly more about this and how they can help and get involved.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have you on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we recently had a presentation to council as well. So it's getting the word out though, right? So as I said, I've often heard up until about the last probably 3 or 4 months that we did not have an issue with those experiencing homelessness here in the Miramichi, right? But I think we just did not see it, right? There were a lot of people, and I've heard the stories now where a lot of people have 8 and 9 people couch surfing in their houses, and trying to keep them off the streets, and but I think it's now become visible. Yeah. We're seeing it, and there's so much that we need to do.
Yeah.
And truly, we've been full since 1998, so it has existed in this community. Exactly. We just haven't been talking about it. And now the noise is out there, right? We're hearing it in Moncton, at Fredericton, our neighboring, places that we're all talking about it, and we're all on board now. And I'm so thankful.
Well, and shout out to the provincial government and to your organization and to the staff at the city for really pulling it together, and to have our Out of the Cold shelter here. We're looking at how we do that on a more permanent basis going forward, for next year when the cold hits again. But really a lot of partnerships happening there, so it's amazing. But all we can do is all we can do at this point, right?
I want to hear more about the coldest night of the year. It's been an event for quite some time, so whichever one of you wants to take the bull by the horn and tell us about when it was established, what it actually is, and how it's progressed.
So the Miramichi region has been participating in Coldest Night of the Year for 5 years now, so I'm very excited. It is a national fundraiser. So last year we received $30,000. The year prior we were around 40. So it's a very successful fundraiser, and it's essential to our organization. Without it, we don't keep our doors open. So that's why we always encourage people to get involved. This year it's February 25th. Starts at 3 p.m. That's our actual event. And I'll talk about how to get involved before that in a second. So February 25th, 3 p.m., St. James and St. John United Church is our meeting location. Okay. So you'll go there and you'll have our opening ceremonies. You'll get your hats. You'll register your teams. Present your pledges, and then we will walk in unity, and that's to fight against ending homelessness and poverty in our community and hunger. So we'll do our walk, we'll make a lot of noise, we'll wear bright colors, power in numbers, right? And then we come back for some chili and pizza.
I have a team this year. I had a team last year. Yeah, I had a team last year, and I have a team again this year. And it was we got the bright yellow hats. You couldn't miss us.
Love
miss us. And I wear it all the time because I'm out walking the dog. But it was so great to see so many people out last year. And I know we were still in the midst of COVID, and it was trying to figure out what that looked like. And so I'm really looking forward to the event again this year and getting my hat again.
Yeah, it's a nice one this year too. It has a nice pom-pom too.
Yes.
Ooh.
What location is St. James, St. John, for those who are not exactly knowing?
So it's located here on the King George Highway, just prior to the Point Church.
Okay, then.
Yeah. With that big long driveway.
Yeah, so the church center is on one side of the road and the church is up the hill on the other.
All right, just to clarify that so people show up and support it.
Yeah.
And I do just want to touch on how to get involved beforehand, and that is through registering a team online, or you will see this coming week we do have a team called J Connection that you can donate to also. But if you're interested in registering a team, you have to raise $150 to earn your hat, although we are so appreciative and thankful for any amount of money.
I know you are, and it goes such a long way.
I know, and it's amazing to see, and I know, it's like I said, scraping together every penny that you can at this point is really, and it goes back into supporting those who need it most.
It's not religious, but these are our people. These are
Exactly.
our brothers
Absolutely.
and sisters. How do we feel
They're
ourselves?
neighbors.
I mean, I just said, that's not religious, but for the grace of God go I, that I'm not out there myself or have had children out there, because you just don't know what can
They're our
happen.
neighbors.
And people become addicted out there every day to something, and then one thing leads to another, and then the cost of living, and they have no jobs, and their family maybe disowns them. There's so many stories as to why they end up in the situation they're in.
Yeah.
And I will say we're seeing a different client base this year. We're actually seeing a lot of seniors,
Oh.
just with the rent increases, and we're experiencing a lot of people that have never been homeless before.
Yeah.
This is their first time being unhoused. So we're faced with a totally new population.
It's tough.
It is.
Yeah,
We only have about a minute and a half left, so I want to ask you both very quickly. Whitney, most rewarding aspect of the work you do?
Getting people housed,
Yeah.
getting them off the streets and, knowing that they're warm at night.
Yeah.
Or
And
cool
safe.
in the summertime too, right?
Yeah,
Because it gets
absolutely.
really hot in
Absolutely.
the summertime too. And like in my charts through our data, our peaks are June, July, and then again when it gets cold.
That's true. I'm only thinking about the cold weather. I'm not thinking about the intense
When
heat.
it's 45 degrees.
Yeah.
Heat waves.
Yeah.
Sam?
Oh gosh, a career peak for me, I'll say a peak was opening the adult emergency shelter with my good colleague and friend Caitlin Carroll.
Yes.
So having spent so many years having to turn people away that were outside of our age range was just a horrible feeling. So that first time I was able to say, yes, we actually do have a warm place for you to lay your head and eat was huge.
You're just truly compassionate people. I know it's your job, and I know it's a paying job, but aside from that, you're giving of yourselves in such a very special way.
It's so much more than a job.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's just
It
so
never
personally
ends.
rewarding as humans.
All right, so for those who haven't donated to a team, you can do that. Please have a great week. We are wishing you all a very happy Valentine's Day, and don't forget, we love you.
Yeah.
Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.